Hello, and welcome to Where You're Not Entertained, where three film fans discuss their favorite flicks. I'm Daniel,
I'm James.
I'm Rachel.
and we're going to be talking about Terminator Dark Fate tonight, or today,
Yes,
or whenever.
we are. My God, this is fun. I was not expecting it.
Yeah.
Like, it kind of blew me out of the water.
Well, you know, when all of the previous iterations of Terminator, other than 1 and 2, have been kind of crappy.
Yeah, they haven't been the best for a while.
No, you can't really have high expectations.
Yeah.
No, but in defense of this one, this is the first one that James Cameron is involved with since T2.
Yes.
Fair enough.
That is true.
So he considers this a direct sequel to the first and second one because he wasn't involved with the other three that came in between it.
Yes.
Kind of like Prometheus and Covenant was to Alien.
Right.
Ridley Scott finally came back, and I felt like there was a marked difference between the quality, because as fun as the Aliens series is with the action, it's an action movie and not a horror.
Right.
Or cosmic horror or anything like that. But anyway, no. This movie, God, when they say nonstop action, or, you know, kind of those taglines you get from movie trailers, it is apt here. I mean, there are the proper downtime so that the pacing goes right, but the action sequences, I just kept going, oh my God, this is crazy. Like, it was just insanity all over the screen. I loved it.
Yeah, the action was great in this movie for sure. It was
Especially
very enjoyable.
The way it starts. Yeah. And it starts that way too. There was no ramping up, man. That first scene in the car factory, and then out onto the road with the giant truck with the scoop on the front.
Mm-hmm.
My God, that was a hell of a scene. Like, it was just craziness the whole time, and I was just kind of like, all right, cool. Nope, you sold me. Like, if there's another scene similar to this, then it was worth my time.
Yeah, it was kind of you get the introduction to the girl and her family, and then the Terminators show up, and then after that, it's just kind of go time.
Yep.
Even from the first moment they introduce Grace, because that's her first big scene, right? She drops out of the sky and then incapacitates people.
Yeah. Kind of, I think that they were kind of going for, is she the new Terminator in the movie? I kind of wish I hadn't seen the trailer before I watched it and hadn't known that there was a second Terminator and she was a good guy, because it would have been kind of cool to have that reveal, because there is that indication that she might be maybe more sophisticated than previous Terminators, and so that's why she doesn't seem so evil outright, but could potentially be the bad guy.
Yeah, so the preview immediately spoiling that Grace is an augment as opposed to a Terminator.
Right. Or the fact that you just see Grace protecting Danny and the Terminator coming at them. So, like, just from that scene alone, there's the indication that she's a good guy. So, but anyway, outside of trailer spoilers, one thing I did want to make sure that I brought up with you guys on this one was I was kind of surprised by... I saw some people talking about how they didn't like the fact that this washes away all of the previous Terminator's importance, because it basically rewrites the timeline.
Well,
and
yeah,
I thought that was kind of ridiculous, because it's a freaking movie series about time travel, and if you can't rewrite the timeline, then it's fate, and who gives a damn? Just roll with it, because you don't get a choice.
Well, they already rewrote the timeline. That's the point of the entire first two movies, is rewriting the timeline. So
right, exactly.
And this is a continuation so the first plan was thwarted, and now they've come back with a new plan just to again change the future. So to me, at least, which I will say, I haven't seen the first Terminator or the second one.
What?
So,
They're the best ones.
I'm looking at this through completely different eyes because I'm with you. I was blown away. This movie was so entertaining to me. I had so much fun, and I didn't expect to have fun because Genesis was sort of a letdown.
Yeah.
And then when I saw how bad the fan reviews were,
right,
I had to read some of them, and I was shocked sort of about the erasure being an issue for people, but even further than that, people's complete issue of this being a movie about feminism, because I didn't get the political correctness. And I saw tons of reviews saying that this movie was sympathetic to illegal immigration, and they retold Terminator just to make this a woke version of Terminator. And I didn't catch that.
I mean, I guess the fact that they were sneaking across the border and they were Mexican, the main character was Mexican, and it starts off in Mexico City, so therefore the hero is Mexican, and the Terminator spends a lot of time impersonating police officers and military. Which, I mean, that's just how Terminator has always been.
That's what they do.
Yeah. I mean, that's just how it's always been. And so, like, I could see people reading too much into it just based off the choices of the movie itself. But I didn't feel like it was shoved down my throat, or there was no, like, exposition telling me about how I need to change or, you know, reinforce my perspectives on immigration in any form or fashion. Like,
it was not a compassionate picture.
I was not insulted or in like riled up in any form or fashion. I didn't feel like there was a woke message. I mean, the fact that your main characters, and all of them except for Schwarzenegger, were female. Okay, well, there's 52% of the world are women, so that's not shocking that a Terminator movie could have 3 women in it.
Right.
Like, I just don't know. And Linda Hamilton was badass enough for anyone out there. Like, if you didn't like Linda Hamilton in this, then you're not right. You shouldn't be watching a Terminator movie.
Yeah,
she was
exactly.
amazing. God, I loved her.
Yeah, she seems like she picked up right where she left off.
100%.
Just a little more of I guess a little more battered, if that makes
grizzled.
sense. Yeah, she's been through more.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. You know, she has. You know, her son is dead now.
Mm-hmm.
And she's had to deal with that, and she's been on missions just killing Terminators. It's like what she's devoted herself to.
That de-aging was really good, actually.
Yeah.
She looked straight up from T2, and so did Arnie. And John, I don't know if he was fully CG or like a guy who looks kind of like Edward Furlong did back then, and they just manipulated it a little or something. But man, I was blown away. I didn't feel that uncanny valley you get so many times with that stuff.
Right.
Oh, I thought the CGI was great, and that was the other thing that I saw so many people ragging on, was that this movie is CGI heavy, but it's the Terminator. What do you really expect?
That's what what are you thinking? This isn't Phantom Thread.
Right.
Like, what? It's freaking Terminator, man.
Yes, we're not building actual Terminators for this film. So
right. Yeah.
But no, I thought Linda Hamilton was really incredible in this, and she spent a year getting prepared to actually portray Sarah Connor again. And I thought that was interesting. Man,
she looked tough as hell. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to stand between her and whatever her objective is.
No, and that was what they said is the big issue they had with Linda Hamilton on this movie was they had to tell her to stop smiling so much when she was firing all the weapons.
Know that feeling.
Yeah, pretty relatable.
But all that being said, Mackenzie Davis held her own too. God, she was amazing. Yeah. I totally felt 100%. She reminded me, was it Emily Blunt in Day After Tomorrow?
Yes.
Yeah. Totally reminded me of that character. I can't remember her name from
You talking about The Edge of Tomorrow?
Edge of Tomorrow. Yeah,
Live, Die, Repeat. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Kind of had that style futuristic soldier mentality to it.
Yeah, exactly.
No bullshit.
And she was kicking ass, like in the choreography and all that. I mean, it looked like she had gone through the training to be able to actually do these things properly. And it wasn't just a bunch of, cut left, cut right, cut up, cut down. Can't really see what the people are doing.
She kind of had she kind of had a moment for me when she was in the detention center and she wakes up and takes out the soldiers in her room.
Mm-hmm.
She hits one of them down onto the ground and then like stands up, shoulders back and fists clenched. And it was super quick, but I was like, wow, that was badass. And it was kind of a forgettable moment, but it like stuck with me just because of her choreography and the way she was pulling off the action. Like, it was great.
Yeah, she was great in this, and I like Mackenzie Davis because she's such a chameleon. So who she is in Dark Fate is nothing like her other more popular roles that we've seen her in.
Like Blade Runner 2049.
Right. Yeah, you would never guess it was the same girl.
No.
Her physicality in this is incredible. The training, the movements, and she's so much more, I hesitate to say stiff, but there's like a firmness to her posture that really speaks to the military side of what you assume her background is.
Oh, yeah.
And then the makeup. Because the way when she starts to overheat and her skin starts to turn red, but the scarring and everything still stays white. And I thought it was really well done.
Mm-hmm. I was really impressed by this movie, man. I'm surprised that people disliked it as much as they did.
So I can say that I enjoyed the movie. I thought the action was great. I thought that the acting and the characters were great. Arnold's character was strange. It was interesting. It was something to think about, I guess. Because it's like the AI got disconnected from what was controlling it, like in the future, because that future's gone, and now he's like feeling remorse, and it's it's interesting. It's a weird choice to bring the Terminator, Arnold, in to hang drapes.
Yeah, no, I thought that was funny, especially when they're waiting for their contact and he's sitting there talking about how you can't put solid colored drapes in a little girl's room. I said no, there needs to be balloons or
exactly. It was funny.
So that was actually ad-libbed.
Really?
So the whole part about you can't put a solid color in a little girl's room, that was part of the script. But then as far as I said, no, it has to be butterflies for a little girl. Mm-hmm. That was all Arnold Schwarzenegger just making it up on his own. And
there you go.
It brought a humanity to the character, much like the fact that the dog doesn't bark at him anymore. Because that's one of those Terminator things, right? Dogs can sense and bark at them.
That you're not real.
Right.
And the other thing that I could say, I guess a complaint that I would have about this movie is that it's really just a retelling. Like I understand they're trying to, I think anyway, that they're trying to kind of reboot
Terminator 2.
Yeah, they're trying to reboot the series, right? So that they can roll on, and they're kind of capitalizing off the name that they have already created with Terminator and had, umpteen zillion movies based off of thus far. But, those original movies are old. And so, only older people would really remember those, right? And maybe not even remember them clearly, just see them through rose-colored lenses.
Right. I can't remember the last time I watched T2.
Yeah, I remember really enjoying them, but I haven't watched them recently. So I could watch it again and go, yeah, it's really good, but nothing like today's movies, right? Because they're not going to have the same kind of, they're not going to have the CGI. They're not going to have the same kind of action. So for people that have maybe kind of seen those and grew up with those, I could definitely see where, and in my case as well, it's kind of it's a reboot of the same thing. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with it. I think it's easy to do that because of, like I said, the time travel thing, rewriting the future. Well,
that's literally what the series is about. Yes,
yeah, exactly. But
I get if you have a problem with it in like a serious movie or even Star Wars or something like that, but this is literally about time travel and changing the future.
Well, I don't think that the problem is the premise. I think, and to me, the problem is the writing. It just seems like a lazy way to go about it. Because it's the Terminator and it's new and you're reinventing it, right? Like you have that idea and you're reinventing it, but you're bringing people that were in the originals into this one. So you're not really reinventing it, but you're using all the same stuff. I feel like they could have played more into that, I guess.
Well, yeah. And I mean, that's the thing. They're not rebooting it. They're soft rebooting it the way like DC Comics and Marvel do when they have some big event that resets the world after Superman dies or something. It's still considered in the same canon. It's just a different universe or whatever, because the timeline's changed now.
Yeah, and maybe reboot was I guess more of a revitalize. How's that?
Right, but that's part of the best part about time travel is once you change the future, you literally do have a reboot. And you bring in Linda Hamilton and Arnie for maybe the last time for either of them, because I don't know if they're interested in doing more Terminator movies. Or how long they can. Arnold's getting up there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he was in his 70s when they started filming the 71 or something, 76.
Yeah.
And so I get the sense he's kind of dead at the end of it.
Yeah.
He's pretty melted. He's a little melty.
I think he's gone. It also allows you to kind of change over to new Terminators, and you don't have to have the original you don't have to have Terminators in it at all from now on. It's going to be new models based off of Legions or whoever it is that they end up, coming across next time when they redo the future.
Absolutely. I just felt that it made for lazy writing.
I guess if you're looking for something new and inventive, then it was. For me, it kind of felt like it was the same way that The Force Awakens got a lot of slack for basically being A New Hope all over again. But it felt right to me. I kind of wanted that after not being satisfied with the previous Terminator movies. And I didn't feel bad about that from Star Wars after the prequel trilogy. Sure. And so like, I don't know. I think every once in a while, giving a little bit of throwback to the original things that made you great isn't necessarily a bad thing. And I go into Terminator movie for the action. I mean, my mind was already blown by the time travel stuff in the first two. So I don't really expect to have any major craziness happen as far as time travel goes, because pretty much anything's up in the air when you're dealing with sci-fi concepts that high-minded. So
yeah,
I want to see guns and explosions. Yeah, it was clean.
You felt like the Rev 9 was behind them for the entirety. There weren't big gaps or, they spent 2 months here or 6 months here. No, he was pretty much always on their tail.
Yeah, hours.
But they also had... Well, yeah, that's the thing. They also had those sections where you got a second of downtime, like when they show up at Arnie's house or at the detention center or whatever it may be, where he's not actively attacking. And so it keeps you from having a heart attack by the end of the movie.
Sure.
Right. Yeah, but even absolutely. Like with the detention center, you can still feel the hunt because he's still looking for them.
Yeah.
I just enjoyed that because I feel like sometimes in chase movies, every once in a while you get that feeling of like, well, why did he disappear now? What did you do differently suddenly to get us this huge gap in the center?
Mm-hmm.
And this one didn't do that. And it is a retelling, but I think they play off of the whole idea, like with knockoffs of 20% originality. So
I'm not saying that the retelling is a bad idea. What I'm saying is they could have done more with it. They literally stuck to the exact same thing that they had done before, which is fine. But it, like I said, makes for lazy writing. That's all. I didn't dislike the first couple movies. I really liked the first couple movies. I don't think that doesn't make me dislike this movie. I just think that they could have done more. That's all.
Fair enough.
I really enjoy the action though. And like I said, as far as the actors go, I think that they played their roles really well, and I think that they were perfect for their parts.
Yeah, I think he did a good job. Gabriel Luna, he wasn't as menacing as I kind of hoped he'd be. That was the only one that I didn't like so much. I think he did a great job of being straight-faced and very mechanical and Terminator-esque. And then, when he was trying to interact, having that more slow, like the more casual attempt to fit in, had this air of creepiness to it too that I liked.
Right.
It's his face. He just doesn't look.
Oh, like your face, bro.
No, not in a bad way. He doesn't have that like menace to him, which I mean, I guess is a good thing for an infiltrator, but it just felt a little off for him being a Terminator.
Well, that's what I liked about it, was that he is way more subtle than, the original Terminator model build or whatever you'd call it. Because
the T-800.
when he comes in somewhere, you don't automatically turn and look at him. Now, if you stop and talk to him, you feel very unsettled. Like there's something weird about this one.
Yeah.
But you don't immediately go, oh, God, look at the size of that man. And I thought that was kind of a nice fit, sort of a sophistication of the Rev 9.
Yeah, and the T-1000 was kind of the same way, except for he did look a lot scarier.
He did, yes.
But no, I think it fits story-wise. I think you're right there. But just I want my Terminator scary.
The fact that the Rev 9 can be anybody, that's cool, right? I mean, with the T-1000, you kind of had that, like he changed into things.
Yeah.
He did the voice mimic and that kind of stuff. But this guy was like, the Rev 9 was constantly someone else. Like, unless he was literally right behind them, chasing them down, he was somebody else. Mm-hmm. Like, he was the girl at the Border Patrol, like when he went into the thing. Mm-hmm. I wasn't even really sure, like that little command pod or whatever. Right. I wasn't even really sure what was going on at first. I was like, why are y'all showing us this? And then, okay. I see.
Wolf in sheep's clothing.
Yeah, I thought he might.
How can I help? I really liked Natalia Reyes. I thought she was such a good fit as your sort of future hope that doesn't realize her purpose yet.
Yeah.
Because initially, when they were looking to cast her character, they wanted somebody who was in that 17 to 19 sort of age range. And I feel like that would have been kind of too young. Because with Dani, you feel like she's lived her life. And so she's probably better able to accept the way the world is changing. And I kind of liked the maturity of it as opposed to getting somebody a whole lot younger.
I also hate it whenever they cast like kids because they spend so much time like screaming and going, "This is crazy! What's going on?" And well, every character pulled into the Terminator movies has that for a moment. It wasn't excessive with Dani.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. She did. She accepted the state of affairs pretty quickly. By the time they stopped in Sarah Connor's Jeep or whatever it was that they had stolen from her right at the end of the first action scene.
Yeah.
Yes.
And she decides not to walk to the cops and puts Grace back in the car. Like from that moment on, she was kind of, all right, in for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think that's kind of when she had the realization and everything kind of set in and she was like, all right, we just got to go.
Yeah, she was very no nonsense.
Yeah. And Linda Hamilton did have her "I'll be back" moment to call back to the second movie, and then you had Arnie at the end saying, "I won't be back."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Which was nice.
Yeah.
Throw that little piece in there.
I wonder if either of those are premonitions. Maybe he's not in the next movie and Linda Hamilton is.
Maybe.
I'm curious to see if that'll be the case. That'd be interesting.
She and Danny become Terminator hunters.
Oh,
Well-
that'd be awesome.
Well, yeah, so she's like, I would assume that Danny gets the skills that she gets when she actually finds Grace.
100%.
I'm assuming that she actually gets those skills from Sarah Connor.
Yep. I bet she goes and trains with Sarah Connor to become the Resistance leader,
Yeah, exactly.
which I kind of love.
Yeah, it's kind of cool, right? Full circle.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, was there anything else that you guys wanted to cover before we got into favorite scenes?
Nope.
I don't think so, no.
All right. I'm going to mix it up a little bit. So, Rachel, what was your favorite scene?
Oh, no.
Spotlight's on you.
Right. I really think that my favorite scene has to be that first big fight on the bridge. I'm not sure if it was. Yeah, it was a bridge.
It was pretty incredible. Yeah.
It was great because you get to see the Rev 9 like separate his skin from his weird metal Terminator body, and you see Grace the Augment and her full power of how she just like shaves skin cells off, and then Linda Hamilton shows up, and it was a very big scene.
God, yes. It was so over the top.
I liked it. It set the tone and it was fun.
Nothing like throwing rebar back and forth at each other to really set the tone.
And, it sounds bad, but I'm glad they ditched the brother that early. I was worried that he was going to be the ball and chain that was slowing them down for too long in the movie, and they just like cut that out almost immediately.
Right. Yeah, because he was definitely like, you're asking too many questions, man. Just go with it. Get out of there.
Dad and brother gone immediately.
Yeah, that happened very fast.
No baggage, onto the movie.
Yep.
As they do.
All right, good choice. No, I love that one. What about you, Daniel? What was your favorite scene?
My favorite scene was actually in the giant plane.
Oh, yeah. The C-40?
Yeah, I can't remember what the designation is.
Yeah. But I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. Anyway, it's a plane the size of a building. And that the Rev 9 was in the refueling jet.
That was cool.
And just didn't give a crap. Like he
and you
literally
had the free fall fight.
busted out the window and flew that plane into the side of the other one and jumped off of it.
Right.
Yeah, and then you've got the giant fight when they're crashing. Which was cool to see them all kind of working together to keep Danny safe. Even though, there's a little bit of rivalry there, a little bit of bitterness still. Which seems to at this point kind of seems to quell that.
Yeah, I think that's when Sarah Connor actually saw the T-800 do his part and not just talk the talk.
Right.
To actually try to protect Danny, and was going to do whatever was necessary to stop the Rev 9.
Yeah, exactly. But lots of cool action in there. Yeah, I'm a big fan of this movie for the action, for sure.
And then it also leads us to one of the best humor moments, right? Where when they do fully crash the plane and the Rev 9 steps up and walks out of that shed, and he's just like, "Hey, sorry about your shed," and he keeps walking like nothing happened.
Yeah. You guys got his steak in his hand.
I still wish he would have grabbed that steak.
I so thought he was going to grab the steak too. Like, I really thought that was going to happen. I did find that was a weird part for me. While I found it funny, I was kind of like, the Rev 9's apologizing to people?
Right.
That doesn't seem like them. But then that kind of washed away at the end when you had him trying to tell the T-800 and Grace to get out of the way and let him have Danny. And there was a sense of negotiation there. And so it was more sophisticated than I expected, because I still have like the T-1000 stuck in my head.
Right. Straight killing machine. This one is mission oriented, but we'll use all the tools around him, which includes negotiation.
It's new and improved.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it was just weird enough to feel like something pretending to be a human as opposed to just really being human.
Mm-hmm.
Because he was just so nonchalant and not actually apologetic, but it was like the right thing to fill the space, and he knew that. It's very
Sorry about the shit.
like a Sheldon Cooper kind of thing.
Yeah, and of course too, even though he's trying to blend in, like it's the least blend in thing in the world. He fell out of an airplane, destroyed a shed, and apologizing isn't really going to do anything at that point.
Right. I'm still baffled.
Right. A good scene.
Yeah, so what was yours?
Well, mine we're not going to really go into very much because it was the same one as Rachel's. Like I said earlier today, when I saw that scene and it culminated with that giant earth mover on the freeway, just literally plowing through cars, and when Linda Hamilton stepped out, just like such a badass as her first reveal in the movie, to save Grace and Danny, from the clutches of both the skeleton Rev 9 and the nanobot Rev 9. Oh, it was almost a mini movie in itself. It was maybe a perfect action scene. I loved it.
Nice. Yeah. No,
I was sold from that point on.
It was a good selling point, and it was early on, so that helped.
Yeah, I think we all love this movie. If you like Terminator movies and action movies, I definitely recommend this. And I'm not trying to speak for you guys, but I think you would say the same, right?
Yeah, I would definitely say it's worth watching for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right. Well, then check it out if you haven't. I'm assuming you have, because we just spoiled everything. And hopefully, but being a Terminator movie, honestly, that's not a big deal. This movie, it's just a fun to watch, even if it's all spoiled for you.
Well, technically, if you've seen the first couple, you kind of get the idea of this one. So
Fair enough. Thank you guys for joining us. Please remember to like and subscribe, and join us next time on Were You Not Entertained?